it's crazy how you can have so much faith in God in so many different areas of your life, and then He like throws a little something at you, and all of a sudden it's, well, you're not so sure all of a sudden. And a few Sundays ago, I was in this church, and they started doing all of this healing, prayers for healing, and then it moved into some prophecy. And man, God will be stretching you in every which way possible, right? I've always had this thing inside of me when stuff like that starts taking place, where I'm like, oh man, these people putting on, like, what is all this? And it's funny as this stuff starts like coming up inside of me during this church service. It's like I hear God's voice, and He's like, oh yeah, you have all the utmost faith in all these like categories of your life when it comes to me. But whenever we start talking about prophecy in the modern world, when we start talking about healing in the modern world, all of a sudden, like, you want to put limitations on me. I'm like, no, God. And He's like, yes, Jason, that's exactly what you're doing. In this church service, they start going through this healing stuff, and I still have that feeling. And then they start prophesying over people in the congregation. I still have that feeling. And then this lady looks at me, and she's like, yeah, you with the hat on. Amongst all this congregation, she points at me. And she starts prophesying over my life, saying things that she shouldn't have any business knowing. And then the next guy, same thing. And then the preacher, Pastor Jay, gets up and he starts speaking words over me. God's like, see what I'm trying to tell you, child? It's wild, man. I've been reading this book, When Heaven Invades Earth. Listen to this. Chapter 2, Commission Restored. Jesus of Nazareth, a man attested by God to you by miracles, wonders, and signs, which God did through Him in your midst. Jesus could not heal the sick, neither could He deliver the tormented from demons or raise the dead. I read that line and immediately was like, what? That goes against everything I've ever heard. But then the second line, to believe otherwise, is to ignore what He said about Himself, and more importantly, to miss the purpose of His self-imposed restriction to live as a man. Now listen to me real quick. Jesus Christ said of Himself, the Son can do nothing. In Greek language, the word nothing has a unique meaning. It means nothing, just like it does in English. He had no supernatural capabilities whatsoever. And I'm still like, wait, what? While He is 100% God, He chose to live with the same limitations that man would face once He was redeemed. He made that point over and over again. Jesus became the model for all who would embrace the invitation to invade the impossible in His name. He performed miracles, wonders, and signs as a man in right relationship to God, not as God. If He performed miracles because He was God, then they would be unattainable for us. But if He did them as a man, I am responsible to pursue His lifestyle. Recapturing the simple truth changes everything. It makes possible a full restoration of the ministry of Jesus in His church. That's so wild, right? Like, and it makes so much sense. So then, let's go ahead and test this against some scripture. This is so wild. And not just any scripture, we're going straight to the gospel. Where we at? We're in John. Here we go. John 14, that's chapter 14, verse 12. And this is red letters, folks. Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that believeth on me, the works that I do, shall he do also. Come on. And greater works than these shall he do, because I go unto my Father. And whatsoever ye shall ask in my name, that will I do, that the Father may be glorified in the Son. If ye shall ask anything in my name, I will do it. I think it's high time that we all stop putting limitations on the God that we call Almighty. We're going to call him Almighty, then we need to believe the words that are coming out of our own mouths.